welcome to Course 171. I'm Scott Whigham. I'll do an introduction here of myself here in just a little bit here. But I wanted to just quickly walk through in this video an introduction to the course. Let's talk about what chapters we have, who is this course written for, what's it going to cover, what's the skill level that it's targeted towards, basic introduction type of things here. I won't keep you too long here. So this is Course 171. It's all about database administration. I try to make this course, my goal when I do these courses is to give you the exact same experience that you would have gotten in a live classroom if you and I were in the classroom together. That's the whole purpose. Every single Learn It First course is done with that same kind of model in place. Going to live in-person classes, it's very expensive, it's very time-consuming, you may have to travel, we all have difficulty. So I try to take that exact same knowledge, the exact same way that I teach my real live classes, and compress it into a video format. That's the idea. Okay. So the basics of the course, we have 16 chapters that we're going to cover. I'll go over those here in just a second. Coverage is at the 200 to 400 level. And let me just kind of explain what that means. I consider level 100 to be a beginner level. Okay? And level 500 then is an expert. So we fall kind of sandwiched right in between the middle. It's not a beginner course. It's not a guru level course either. Okay. This is ideal for somebody that is migrating to SQL Server 2012 from a prior version. It's also great for somebody who's new to SQL Server, and it's perfect for somebody who's migrating to SQL Server from, say, Oracle or MySQL or other platforms. This is really good for helping you work towards your certifications, if that's your bag. And we will have throughout this course a lot of what's new in SQL Server 2012. So just mixed throughout each of the chapters, we're going to say, hey, did you know about this new feature? Okay. So let's walk through the chapter listing. We are smack dab right at the beginning of chapter number 1, the course introduction chapter here. We're going to quickly go through that, not too much there. And we'll get into kind of the start of it, the additions. We need to know what additions are out there. We need to know how to size our hardware, how to match the hardware to the additions, how to choose our addition based on our workloads. We need to know the licensing, the basics of licensing so that we can make intelligent suggestions when somebody says, hey, is SQL Server appropriate for this? Well, maybe if you have a $500,000 budget, okay? And we'll also talk about we'll just kind of have like a big brain dump here of what's new, and then we will explore more of the what's new as we develop each of those throughout the rest of the course. Chapter 3, we're actually going to start working with installing and upgrading SQL Server. So we're going to upgrade a server. We're going to install multiple instances. We're going to be working on domain level servers. We're going to be talking about workgroup level servers. We'll then get into working with the tools like the Configuration Manager, SQL Server Management Studio, SQL Server Data Tools, Books Online, all the basic tools that you would work with on a weekly, daily basis as a DBA. Then we're going to get into really, really critical stuff here, creating and managing databases. We'll talk about where do you place your files. Should you have more than one transaction log? Should you have more than one database file? What are the file extensions? What are good practices for storage techniques for these files? Okay? So we're going to get into creating and managing those. Should I shrink my database files? How do I expand a database? What happens if my database fills up? Okay? Chapter 6, we're then going to get into security, and we'll talk about both server level security, that is securing who gets into the server, but then object level security. Just because I let you into the server, do I really want you to be able to access this particular table? Maybe not. So we'll talk about how to secure individual objects. We'll have a lot of fun. I'm a big security nerd, so I love playing with that kind of stuff. Backup and recovery. I mean, we are all here for backup and recovery, right? It could be argued that a lot of times a company hires a DBA as just simply to mitigate this particular problem. We know that at some point a disaster will strike, and we need an expert in place to help minimize the effects of that disaster. And that's really where you earn your big money. Okay? So we're going to cover backup and recovery. Chapter 8 is meat and potatoes for a DBA, jobs. We're going to talk about how to schedule, backups, index maintenance, routine things, executing integration services packages. We're going to talk about a lot of automation here with the SQL agent. You may have seen that already. Database maintenance. We have to do things periodically to maintain our database. Index defragmentation. We have to possibly shrink databases, grow databases. We're going to kind of expand on a bunch of different topics under the maintenance side. One of the things we all need to know is performance monitoring. What metrics do I look for to determine if I need more memory, or I need a faster CPU, or is my disk too slow? How do I know? How do I find out these important counters and objects and find this information? Chapter 11, virtualization, a very important topic. We're talking about using things like Hyper-V, VMware, Oracle's VirtualBox. So we'll kind of explore those three. We'll play around a little bit with virtualization and talk about the benefits of it, the pros and cons. Licensing is going to be an issue for you, as well as potentially hardware contention. So we're going to talk about working with virtualization. Virtualization is a hugely popular, but I find it's also a quick way to bring up an argument. You're going to find some people who love it, some people who think it's great for development, horrible for production. So we'll kind of explore all of that. Then we're going to briefly talk about VLDBs, very large databases. So now we're really crossing that 500 gig barrier. We're getting up into terabyte sized databases, which do require different strategies and different techniques. We're going to talk about storage area networks, SANs. We're going to talk about solid state drives, SSDs, as a way to place your data. And we're going to talk about partitioning strategies. And these are all techniques that we can use to increase performance and really increase our administration and maintenance times, or to decrease our maintenance times, I should say. Chapter 13, I'm a big fan of PowerShell, use it every day. So we will talk about managing our SQL Server with PowerShell. Chapter 14, I included this just out of popularity. People love this topic. It's just a guide to moving and copying databases. There's not that much to it in terms of, like, it's maybe only going to take us an hour or so, but there are some gotchas when you move or copy a database to a new instance or a new server or a new location that if you just have somebody show them to you, it's super easy to deal with. Chapter 15, we're going to talk about replication. We have just a nice overview of what is replication, what are the types. We'll go through a couple of demos with that. And then we have chapter 16, some miscellaneous administration. Okay? So we're going to cover all kinds of things in there, Stream Insight and SQL CLR, and really a lot of different topics that we could not that didn't really afford their own chapter here. Now, the format of this course, in case you have not taken any of my courses before. So I do presentations, and a presentation is kind of what you're watching now. It's me with a slide, and you hear the voice, and you have PDFs and takeaways and handouts and all that kind of stuff, right? We're going to get into demos more in chapters 2 and 3, and that's where I'm showing you how to do something. You see this button? I'm going to click it, and here's what's going to happen. We have hands-on labs. We have our own exercises. That way you get the experience as well. Again, just trying to emulate that real classroom experience. So it's the exact same setting as if we were in a classroom together. And really, this is about, if you were to go look up this course, it would be about a 5 to 7 day equivalent course here. Each of the videos are going to be about 5 to 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll have a 3-minute video. Sometimes I'll have a 26-minute video. I try not to, though. I try to kind of arrange it so they fall in the 5 to 20-minute range. Doesn't always happen. I do try to make the videos cover one specific topic. Again, don't always happen, but I try to do that because I think it makes it easier later on when you want to reference a topic to find just that one video. You don't have to flip through a 1,000-page book and try to go, oh my gosh, where was that page again? I can't remember. So lots of hands-on exercises. I will give you instructions. You will follow the instructions. Then we'll have a video breakdown in which I talk about here's why I chose this instead of that. And this was wrong if you did it this way. This is the way you want to do it. And this is the expected result, etc. Right? This gives you a lot of that real world experience rather than vicarious experience from just watching. By the end of this course, you're really going to have the experience that you need to be able to manage production SQL Server 2012 installs. Right? That's the goal here. Right? Now, I promise you this, though. I'm not going to teach you everything about SQL Server 2012 DBA. I can't. Really, in 16 chapters, in 5 days of class time, it's unrealistic to think that you are going to learn everything about SQL Server DBA. Okay? People spend years becoming really high-level SQL Server DBAs. So to think that you could get it all in 1 week of class time is a little bit, right? A little bit aggressive, for lack of a better word, right there. We do have a certificate when you complete the course, so you can get that as well. Let's see, prerequisites, trying to just wrap this up here so we can get into the course here. The prerequisites, as I mentioned, this isn't a beginner course. This is a level 200 to 400. So if you are a complete beginner, stick with me. Next slide, I have a recommendation for you. Okay? Previous exposure to databases would qualify you as not a complete beginner, though. Okay? So if you have experience with Access or DB2 or MySQL or heck, even Access, I put that in there, then I would not consider you a complete beginner. Okay? You probably have a good basis for the course. Okay? A lot of the Oracle administration, DB2 administration, it's just simply learning what are the terms that we use in SQL Server and comparing those to what your knowledge is in that other domain. Okay? So I would definitely think you would be okay to take this. Now, I have right here a list of all of our courses on SQL Server 2012 and SQL Server 2014. So you see down here, we have our big intro course, course 170. That is our introduction. And then course 171 follows that one. Okay? I don't expect you to take them all. Okay? We have a DBA course here, a DBA course here for the high availability and disaster recovery. That's right. That's not really covered in here. Why? That's about a 4 or 5 day course in and of itself. So we don't have time to kind of cram everything in here. DBAs need to know about transact SQL, stored procedures, triggers. DBAs need to know how to write queries. DBAs might need to know about integration services or how to write reports with reporting services or analysis services administration. Right? So database design up here. So we try to cover the whole gamut here for you and give you the platform with which you can kind of take those next steps in your career and learn all of these different things. Right? So I mention this because I want you to understand that this intro course right here is what I would call a breadth course. What I mean by that, the breadth course covers a whole lot of stuff. Okay? It doesn't go deeply on anything. The goal of the breadth course is to kind of give you the view of SQL Server 2012 from 30,000 feet. Okay? The other courses are the depth courses. Okay? They're not breadth courses, and that's where we are. We are in course 171, a depth course. It's not a breadth course. We cover fewer topics, but we cover them deeply. Okay? So when we talk about backup and recovery, we're going to go really deep. When we talk about security, we're going to go really, really deep. We're not just going to give you a surface of what security is. Okay? So course 170 is the breadth course. If you want to know about all the basic facets of SQL Server, start there. Come back here as your depth. Okay? And I do recommend that you take course 170 prior to this one, unless you have the equivalent experience. Okay? So who am I? My name is Scott Whigham. I started working with SQL Server, almost 20 years ago. God, really? Okay. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a trainer with companies you've heard of. I've been, all over the globe doing training and consulting. I father of 2 boys, soccer fanatic, football, if you are, in Europe, South America. I play guitar. I'm a big, seems like right now acoustic guitar is my thing. So you may have listened to me at the beginning of the video. I do the guitar playing stuff for that. So you can go up to the website. You can find more information about what's in the course. If you load up this PDF that is included with this video, you can click on this link down here, and that will take you to the course. And on that page, then you can find every video that we have in the course, along with a breakdown of what's included in the video. You'll also be able to do keyword searches. This is a huge benefit. So, you know how a book has a back of a book, you go to the index and you kind of flip through. It's the same concept. You go type in backup, and it shows you all of the videos in this course that use or are about backups. There are free videos available from this course as well. There are PDFs that you can download. There are course files that we're going to be using, database files, SQL files, backup files, that we'll use just kind of randomly throughout the course as we go through it. Now, I will encourage you to keep watching in chapter 1, okay? I know that when I pick up a book, I'm often inclined to just kind of skip the introduction chapter and go straight to the meat. But I would suggest that if this is your first time watching one of my courses, that you go through and watch all the videos in the chapter 1. Okay? If this is your 15th course with me, then totally skip chapter 1. There's nothing in here for you. But I want to talk to you in the next couple of videos about how to use this course effectively, my thought process when I arranged the course, how the exercises are designed, and which editions of SQL Server that we're going to be working with, and what operating systems that you need. And we'll also finish with a little bit of professional development for SQL Server. Okay, so I think that it's a good idea, rather than to skip straight forward to chapter 2, to keep going here in this chapter. So let's go to the next video and let's talk about how to use this course effectively.